There's been a lot of misinformation spreading about Biden. People that are saying he has been on vacation. This is the profile of one guy who yesterday, I follow him on Instagram, and he's just sharing a ton of ideas about Biden being on vacation. Now, I had messaged him after looking at this PolitiFact and said, basically, PolitiFact debunked that. Are you aware that you're spreading misinformation? Do you care that you're spreading misinformation, or are you that partisan? So, PolitiFact, the guy didn't message me back yet, but PolitiFact, so they looked at this claim. People saying Joe Biden's on a 2-week vacation, Kamala Harris has been non-existent since Inauguration Day, Jen Psaki taking a break, and they have said that that is wrong. Highlighted that Biden rescheduled or cut short planned vacations. Harris has been working regularly with numerous public appearances. And so basically, they just go through and explain like exactly how that's false, why that's wrong. Wanted to highlight, though, that there are groups that don't care about spreading this information. I go back to this Gunner guy's page. It's an ambassador for Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA, some of these people are ridiculous. That's the thing. Like, some of these conservative groups, if someone is sharing something that may make someone on the left look bad at all, they're not going to censor these people and make sure that what they're posting is true. They're not going to really fact check it or censor their people. Okay, so diving into the specifics with Biden, he was supposed to be on vacation roughly Monday, August 9th through Tuesday, August 17th, and it highlights that during this period, when he was supposed to be on vacation, he was in Washington for all or part of 5 days, 10th, 11th, 12th, 16th, 17th. He was not on vacation for 2 weeks. Talks about how even when he was at Camp David, he still continued some duties, including receiving briefings. And then there were some days that no public events were scheduled. So the thing I want to highlight, and I won't say that people on the left never try to do this, but there are opportunists on the right that will use any event that they can to be a dividing moment. They will try to convince people that all leftists are ridiculous, that they're weak, that they are bad for the country. Even events that really aren't like partisan. Understand, Trump was planning on pulling out of Afghanistan too, and the idea that Trump would have done so much better, I'd like to really look at the evidence for that. Just keep in mind some of these people, some of these Congress people and commentators that are coming out and being really critical of Biden now, even though I do agree the U.S. should be doing all it can to save allies, to save the U.S. citizens, Afghan interpreters. But some of these people that are the quickest to point the finger, they defended Trump even through the January 6th insurrection. And some of these politicians, they voted against doing I think it would have been like a bipartisan committee investigating it further. They ended that. So just understand, some of these people are opportunists. Some of these people, they don't care about actual truth. I don't like postmodernism, and oftentimes postmodernism is associated with the left, and I think that can be true. That there are some people on the left that don't value truth and that they just look at power, but don't get confused and think that that's only on the left. There were people in Bush's administration who later talked or wrote about how the administration was shaping reality, and how the journalists and historians who criticized them were like inferior because the administration was shaping reality. Trump was a pathological liar. That's not even debatable. He lied constantly. So don't fall for this idea that postmodernism is only a thing on the left. Postmodernism is a thing on the right as well. So I just wanted to highlight that that's false information. The idea that Biden's just on vacation the whole time that this chaos with Afghanistan is happening, that's just not accurate. I've heard some people say that Biden could have handled it better. I'm not going to necessarily argue with that until I've done more research on it, but just know he's not on vacation. He's not doing nothing. He's not just watching as the world is falling apart. And going back to that guy before, the Gunnar Thordarson guy, I'll just show his name, highlight this. He had something on a story that was talking about the world laughing at the U.S. because of Biden, because of Afghanistan. Now keep in mind that during some of those leadership summits, Trudeau and Emmanuel Macron and even Boris Johnson, they were laughing at Trump. So don't let this conservative narrative convince you that the world is now just laughing at the U.S. and that Trump was this respected leader. The world laughed at Trump. Trump was a clown. Trump was a joke. Gunnar's sharing things about how the world needs Trump. Like, I'm sorry, someone sharing that is not a serious person. Again, I'm not arguing Biden is the best president and that he's wonderful and that he doesn't do anything wrong. But anyone who criticizes Biden and then turns and tries to talk up Trump, like, that person, I'm just going to say it's like ridiculous. Maybe I'm just feeling in the snarky mood. I'll show you a video of this guy. This is the type of...
Please tell me you just saw Halsey change her pronouns to she, they, citing a pregnancy. Yeah, this is the same Halsey that marched in the Women's March with a pussy hat on, calling it a clump of cells and celebrating abortion. Okay, kind of reminds me of when Chrissy Teigen had an early miscarriage and the entire nation mourned the loss of her baby. Okay, leftists, you don't get to call these things babies, but then celebrate their murder. Okay, it's time to be honest about abortion. Please tell...
I'm showing this partly because I want people to recognize that Turning Point USA and some of these groups are jokes. Here's that guy Gunnar with the main guy of Turning Point, Charlie Kirk. They're taking a selfie together, just a couple bros right there. Well, I gotta tell you, Gunnar's the ultimate sales bro. Ultimate sales bro. So here he is, talking about Vivint. I'm beyond grateful for the opportunity I've been given to make a typical banking job, 6-figure salary, and a third of the time, family always comes first. I couldn't be doing this without this incredible daily support. Okay, here's this video of him recruiting people for sales. Just look at it for yourself.
Can you really make money doing summer sales? Yeah, just ask Keith, who last summer sold for a few months, paid off all of his schooling, and is on track to graduate debt-free. Yeah. We've also got this $1,500 scholarship available to some new recruits, so click the link above or below to learn more.
This man only made $40K last month. I'm not trying to be just a colossal jerk, but someone that actually makes 40, like, who says I only made 40K in a month? Like, that's so obnoxious, to be honest. If someone actually did make 40K in a month, like, I feel like most normal people wouldn't even brag about it. He's probably inflating his numbers to try to get recruits, or just being, like, ridiculous, implying like 40K is a small month. He usually makes like 60K per month. Even if he did make that much, like, just the insensitivity in posting about it when you have other people, I mean, nurses, teachers, accountants that are making maybe like 50 to 70K in a year, just someone posting about how they only made 40K in a month. Just so obnoxious if you're just looking at it objectively. America needs American values. I might look, again, like I'm being a jerk here. I show that because I think these are literally the type of people that are with groups like Turning Point USA and just similar groups. I was an intern at the Utah State Capitol years ago, and I remember there was someone that I knew, and I saw them there with a group, Americans for Prosperity, and they had Americans for Prosperity shirts on that they had been given. And I asked this person, I was like, hey, how long have you been with Americans for Prosperity? And they kind of shrugged. I was like, I don't know, like a year. I was like, oh, what do you like about them? And I think they talked about the conservative values. And I asked him, like, have you ever heard of the Koch brothers, David or Charles Koch? And they looked at me confused and said no. They didn't know that literally the Koch brothers had funded a group. It was basically an AstroTurf group that was fighting climate change legislation that would have improved basically the climate change problem. There are groups that receive a lot of funding, conservative groups. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Turning Point USA was getting big money from oil companies, gambling, or just like casino. In fact, I just did a quick search, found on SourceWatch. This is showing some of the basically donors of Turning Point USA. And so, Donors Trust, Foundation for Economic Education, Koch brother affiliated groups, was founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk. Partnership with ALEC, American Legislative Exchange Council, which basically pushes for conservative bills in state legislatures. So, Turning Point USA linked social media accounts deleted following pro-Trump misinformation campaign. Twitter and Facebook were shutting down their accounts. So, I bring this up just to say, and also it's highlighting that they urge the recording of professors. I bring that up just to show that Turning Point USA is an organization. Wouldn't say that's like the most objective organization. When you see someone sharing something from them, understand they're receiving money from the Koch brothers. Koch brothers just funded right-wing causes for literally decades. You have literal clowns that are in Turning Point USA. Again, there are some people on the left that are extreme. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that, including people like Sam Harris and Coleman Hughes. But what's important to recognize is that there's often a caricature made of leftists, that they're all just like these blue-haired, social justice, Antifa, like fighters, when honestly, a lot of them are pretty normal people that have just done a lot of research, or even a decent amount of research, and are trying to basically vote in a way that is in line with their conscience. There are a lot of very moderate people that are like slightly left-leaning that would vote Democrat, but they're not. Oftentimes people on the left are not this caricature that they're made out to be. But recognize when it comes to these types of groups, there's not as much money on the left as there is in the right. So there's a reason why Charlie Kirk and others kind of like him, they can explode quickly. There are older people that are heads of organizations and think tanks that want these people to catch on. They want people to vote Republican, oftentimes because it's in their own economic interest. And again, I like Mitt Romney, I like McCain, and I did like McCain and Flake and some like moderate Republicans I thought were okay. But just understand, there are extremely wealthy people who want to convince young people to vote Republican because it is in their own economic interest. And there's not the same funding with these left-leaning groups. And there's people, again, pointing to this. There are groups and there's people out there, they do not care if they are spreading misinformation. I mean, you can say that the media was horrible to Trump. Okay, maybe they were rough on him, but did they lie about him? Did they just spread like blatantly false misinformation? No, Trump would say things like he was going to nuke a hurricane, and he would talk about digging moats and having alligators that immigrants would fall into. Like Trump, he also was saying even before the election that if he lost it would be rigged. Like he was far different. And if news outlets reported objectively on him, they were often criticized. So again, I guess the main message with this is just do your own research. Be skeptical of Turning Point USA. Be skeptical of what you see. Try to fact check as much as you can.